Hello and welcome back to the Sunnyside of Freedom. Today we have my friend Emily with us, a female veteran, also known to us on our Sunnyside of Freedom family as Sourpuss. We love your face. An incredible individual. And I'm super excited today because it's my first female veteran interview. So, welcome to the Sunnyside of Freedom. Nice to
Thanks
have
for having
you.
me.
Absolutely. I'm stoked. I'm like so excited to have you here. For our viewers today, I'm hopefully also streaming on the TikTok platform, but for today, for the YouTube channel, please hit subscribe if you would like to continue to follow and see more veteran stories. Every story matters. That is Sunny's mission, uniting veterans across the nation, both on the platform, off the platform, and getting their stories out because every story matters. So today, we're going to get to know Emily a little bit, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Emily. I served in the active duty Army for 4 years from 2010 to 2014. My job was a 91 hotel, which is a tracked vehicle repairer. I worked on tanks. I did that. I had a blast. And then I decided to get out and not extend my time in. When I first came into the Army, I thought maybe I would end up wanting to stay a little bit longer, but that just wasn't my journey, and that's okay. So that's kind of just like the short gist of what I did. And yeah.
Well, I think you're amazing, and thank you for your service, my friend.
Of
You
course.
know, um, as far as our females are concerned, although we do have them a part of the Sunny Side of Freedom, they join us on our Veterans Live, which is hosted every single Friday at 9:30 p.m., 9 o'clock p.m. currently on my TikTok platform, which is Sunny Side of Freedom. Um, Not many want to do what you're doing right now, which is get out and have their voice heard. Can you tell me a little
Yeah,
bit about that?
I'm definitely, yeah, I'm nervous. And I think something I struggle with and have struggled with since I've gotten out is using my voice to speak about things that are tough, things that, maybe are more prominent to female veterans. And so hopefully today I can speak a little bit about that. I don't want to make it the whole thing because that's not what my story is. That's only a piece of it. And I think I've come further than the things that have happened to me. And I want to make that clear that bad things happen to all of us. But it's how we get over those things and how we move forward that really matters. And yeah, that's kind of what I want to make it about when I talk about things I've experienced and where I'm at now, and yeah, and how Sunnyside has helped me. So
Well, why don't we kick it off from there? So, Emily and I met on the TikTok platform
yeah,
during a Veterans Live. She had come in, and I think you came back to me again. Sunny's been doing this now for over 2.5 years. And this time around, when you came back, we connected on another level.
yeah. So I'd seen you a while back, and I just loved how you ran your lives. I just loved the things that you talked about. I just thought you were just a really kind person and that you gave a shit about veterans. So that really made me want to come back that night and just hop in because I really needed somebody that night. So I was really going through it last summer. I had a kind of a major event happen in my life. I don't need to go into detail about it, but I had a major event happen and it kind of sent me into a tailspin and didn't really know what to do. I just felt like I was in this really dark place that I hadn't experienced in a long time. I don't know if anyone out there's ever experienced this, but I thought I was healed from some things that maybe I wasn't healed from. You ever get to a place where like I've beaten that, I've overcome this thing, and then all of a sudden like somebody just reopens the wound, and all of a sudden you have to deal with it all over again. That's kind of what happened last summer. And when I crawled into your live that night, I was a wreck. I don't know if you remember. I was crying. And
I
I
do.
don't cry often on live. I try not to cry on the internet. But yeah, I needed somebody, and I needed you guys that night, and you guys were all there for me. So that kind of started me joining Sunnyside of Freedom. I have some notes, so I'm going to look at kind of things that I wrote because I want to make sure that I really get these things out. So let me just look really fast. Sorry. So I have, oh yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to read to you what I wrote because my thoughts are a little scattered and I'm nervous. So I wrote, when I came into the Sunnyside of Freedom Live almost a year ago, I was dealing with a serious mental health crisis. A part of my past that I thought I had healed from, the wound was ripped clean open. I was feeling my lowest that night and I saw your live and I just needed support. I know you were an advocate for veterans and had joined your live months prior. The outpouring of love and advice got me through that night. And I remember you inviting me back and to plank with you. So I did. And every time I committed to return or to plank or to just show up, I felt a bit more strength return and eventually felt like I had enough of it to reach out for mental health at the VA. Sunnyside of Freedom gave me the support in a time when I desperately needed it, but it never claimed to be the knight in shining armor. It only encouraged me to do the work. You have to do the work. No one else can do it for you. And I wrote that because it connected me with support. It connected me with other veterans and civilians who wanted to support me. I got to hear people's shared life experiences, letting me know that I'm not alone and that there's other people out there who've maybe gone through similar things. And that help is out there, but you have to reach for it. Nobody's going to come and save you. I say this all the time. This is my favorite little saying. There's no knight in shining tinfoil coming to save you. You have to be your own knight in shining armor, but there can be people along the way to help to cheer you on and lift you up when you need it. And then the other thing is the alternative medicine. I think that that's such an important thing to also address that Sunnyside of Freedom likes to introduce is that there's different ways of healing. Not everything needs to be through pharmaceuticals. Now, I understand certain things do, but there's other ways to heal, right? And I
Absolutely.
think
So many ways to heal. So let's go back for a minute. First of all, I did not pay her to write that. I'm just going to say it. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, I do remember the night you came in. Actually, I think I paused and I said, "Is that you? Is that you?" And my heart was so happy. And then you unmuted and I knew that you were feeling a little bit broken.
Yeah.
And I will not I don't forget these moments because I saw the love and the support immediately start pouring into you like, "We got you. You're in the right place at the right time." And I was so happy that you knew that you had a place to come, and those are the moments for our viewers. That's why I do what I do. I continue to host these lives because you don't know how you're going to impact someone's life or save someone's life specifically. Um, you know, Sourpuss the planky, you make reference to the planking. And yes, that was my way of encouraging you. Come on, keep showing up for you. You got this. And I'm right beside you. I can't do
Right.
it for you because I got to do my own plank.
Right.
You get to planking, and
Right.
that's really what those daily messages are about. It's about either support what I'm doing, which is the messaging that's so important, which is a reminder. Take the mindful moment, start healing yourself, start filling your cup because no one's going to do it for you. Do we have amazing people that help fill the cup? Yes,
Yeah.
throughout our day. But essentially, it's no one's responsibility. No one has a responsibility to fill my cup but me.
Yep.
And we hold too much weight on others holding this responsibility, like, you got to make me happy. You got to fix this for me. You
Yeah.
have to make this easier for me. And the reality is, no one has to do anything but
Right.
you.
Right.
So going back to so much of what you just said there, my goodness, the platform, and you're right, the support of the Sunnyside of Freedom family, you connected with other veterans, female and male.
Yeah.
And we always love having you come in, and that we all get so excited. You definitely have fans. We have fans out here for the Sourpuss. We sure do. But, and I'm sorry that you went through what you went through, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because you have had to navigate your own healing journey, which
Yeah.
is based on what you just shared. Everyone's healing journey is so different. And who is anyone to say there's only one way? We
Right.
have to open our minds to healing, and healing comes in many forms and it looks different for anybody. So if it's helping them heal, referring back to plant medicine, who am I to sit back and say, no, that's the wrong way?
Right.
Too long in our society, we've done just that, which
Right.
leads to, I believe, and again, my opinion, to so many of the problems that we're currently faced with. One major problem being the percentage of veterans taking their own lives, which is referred to on our platforms as 22 a day, a number to be known as much higher than that.
Right.
And one can speculate and say, what is the leading cause? Many of us would agree that it probably is the amount of medications that they're on that is not helping,
Yeah.
rather hindering the way they see life, the way they feel about themselves, and so on. But I won't get on that.
Well, I'd 100% agree with that. That is a part, to kind of draw a parallel to what you just said. That's a part of my story. I know I've heard some other people on Sunnyside of Freedom talk about struggling with addiction and overcoming addiction. Well, I'm also one of those veterans. I don't talk about it a lot, but the pharmaceutical side of the active duty military was very harmful to me when I was serving, because what they did was they were trying to band-aid problems. So, for those of you out there who maybe aren't a veteran, their number one goal is to make you what they call mission ready, right? So you need to be ready to go out, do your job, be deployable. So when we're dealing with mental health crises in active duty service, they typically want to throw whatever they can throw at you to just get you to function, right? So that's what they did to me. To kind of paint a picture, when my father passed away, I was struggling with grief. I turned to pharmaceuticals that were prescribed to me, and I was abusing them. I was taking way too many. I was taking them during work hours. I was taking them operating heavy equipment. I was taking them while I was drinking alcohol, and I was making terrible impulsive decisions because I was trying to heal some wounds inside of me that needed professional help. I needed a doctor. I needed to sit down with somebody, I needed to talk to somebody, and I didn't have that. So yeah, I would 100% agree. I think that is a huge issue that we deal with as either active duty service members or veterans, is that the medical industry really tries to band-aid instead of get us pointed into alternative medicine, right? Yoga, meditation, therapy, plant medicine, all sorts of different things, physical activity, group therapy. I mean, there's so many things out there that can help to heal somebody who's broken on the inside. It can help to heal those wounds without needing to be loaded down with 10 pills.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with you. And, it's a temporary fix. And I don't even know if it's fixing anything. If anything, it's numbing it. It's not helping it. It's not supporting it. It's not looking for alternative ways to overcome. It's like kind of keeping you in a place and actually hindering progress. Um, and that's a debatable conversation I think we'll have forever. I mean, we all know the pharmaceutical world is running everything right now. And it is disheartening. It's disheartening to think that we as patients are, even when we try to advocate for ourselves and say, this is not working and this is why, this is making me worse, I'd like to try this. And we can get into that conversation. But the reality is it's taboo. It's taboo to talk about with your healthcare professional. And I think it was not too long ago. We were both present in 420 Chief. I've been with Chiefs Live. He's also, please give him a follow. He's also on YouTube, and he gets out veteran stories in the healing through plant medicine. And I think you and I both were coming to the consensus that as one wants to be transparent with their healthcare provider, because it's so imperative that we are transparent, because at the end of the day, it's our care plan, and it's something that we want them to know what we're doing so we don't
Yeah.
mess it up, right? We don't
Exactly.
essentially mess it up. And what's
Mhm.
happening is more and more veterans are afraid, because of fear of losing benefits or fear of anything and anything associated with alternative healing. Um, and I hope to see that change. I do see the dial moving. I do hope it changes. There is more awareness and conversation these days around that. So
Yeah, and it's a little different for me because I live in a state where it is legal. Plant medicine is a legal thing here. So when for me, when I go to the VA, I can have open dialogue with my doctors about this, and I'm not afraid to tell them. And it doesn't affect my healthcare. And I've been very honest, because when we're talking about things like general surgery or, procedures where they need to put you under anesthesia, you have to be transparent with them. If you're not, it can really mess with the things that they're going to do to put you under, or, these are things to think about. And I just wanted to make that clear. Like,
yeah,
even if you're afraid, you probably, I would encourage you to say what you're, indulging in your free time, because these things can interact with
Mhm.
medication, especially if you're getting surgery. And a lot of veterans, we go through surgeries, we go through procedures, so I'll leave it at that.
So I'm happy and thank you for being transparent and sharing some of your healing journey and how you have found, your healing. I know just from conversations we've had, you've mentioned going to counseling, for instance, as
Yes.
part of your journey. And how is that going for you?
I love it. I go every Monday, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I do hour-and-a-half sessions, and it's hard work. It's not easy. There's and I just want to be really honest about how it goes for me. I usually get like, when you get the Sunday scaries, before you have to go back to work, and you get anxious and you're like, I don't want to go back to work. And I'm,
That
and
on
then
Saturday. What are you talking about? I'm like, oh, I only have one day left.
oh my gosh, that's me every Sunday night. I'm like, oh, I got to go to therapy tomorrow. And then I start to get anxious. And then I just go through all the things in my head. I'm like, I can make an excuse that I got sick and I can't come. I go through all this. And then
Self-sabotage.
but I have to talk, yeah, but I have to talk myself off the ledge every time and say, every time you leave, first off, I love my therapist. She's just a wonderful human. So there's a plus. But even though it's hard work, every time I leave, I feel like 100 pounds has come off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I want to make it clear that when you start to go through therapy, especially intensive trauma therapy, when I'm talking PTSD, I'm talking, sexual trauma, all those things. If you're going to therapy and you're working on like exposure therapy, or, I know there's other kinds out there. What is it? EMDR but exposure therapy, and I'm going to speak on that because that's what I'm going through, is very tough, because you have to readdress you have to open these wounds up every single day. And when I say every day, I mean every day. I have to listen to a recording of myself telling my story every single day until the following Monday when I go in, and then I have to tell it again. But it helps. It truly does. It's a scary process, and you have to be okay with being uncomfortable. And that's what I wanted to say, is you have to be okay with just feeling uncomfortable, feeling uneasy, and then reap the benefits after you get out of therapy. Because every day, every time I go, I feel better. And in my waking life, I feel healthier. I feel stronger. Um, and Sunnyside is what got me to go and get help. You know what I mean? You guys gave me that strength. Like when we were talking about people being there to help to fill your cup, you guys helped me. When I had nothing in my cup, you guys were like, here's a little bit of mine. Get up, go. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up and I'm just gonna show up. I'm gonna plank. Maybe I'm not gonna plank. Maybe I'm just gonna stitch a video. Maybe I'm gonna just show up to the live. But I'm just gonna show up and just see if it helps. And it did.
And let's talk about showing up. So that's something I often make reference to. And it's not necessarily always showing up for others, it's showing up for self first. I think as a society, and I've touched base on this before, at a very early age, we're taught taking care of others, take care of your sibling, watch out for your little sister,
Right.
whatever it is. And then you go into service and it's kind of like the same because you're taking care of everyone around you. You're looking out for everyone around you.
Yeah.
But when do you stop to start taking care of yourself? And it's something we almost have to learn. And as we're adulting now, older, it's like, okay, I never did that before. I thought about everybody else but myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I
um,
feel that. I actually I wrote a little note earlier about I wonder if I can refer to it, but when we're in the military, everything's about being like mission and team focused, and it takes away from our individualism. And I think that's a super important thing, is when we get out, we need to adapt, right? That individualism, it's gone. And then also you've been remolded, you've been reshaped. The way that you think about life, the way that you look at life and death, that has completely been altered. Because I can tell you, when I was a young adult going into the military, I looked at life as something that was fleeting. And I said, well, I'm not going to make it to, 25. And I guarantee you, a lot of veterans, if you ask them, did you think you were going to live to see 30? They're going to tell you, no, I didn't. Because that's the way I looked at life. And then I saw how precious it was when my friends started passing, when I lost people, and then when I had to go bury people, and my perspective on that changed. And so I changed. So when I got out and I said, I'm going to go back to my hometown, I'm going to go back to the same friends, I'm going to go back to the same bar, I'm going to go back to that same place that I used to frequent. And then I showed up and I said, these people are not who I thought they were. they're not really what I want in my life anymore. This bar, it's not going to get me anywhere. This place I used to frequent, it doesn't fill my cup, you know? That's a hard realization when you get out. And so really what helped me was to start all over again. It was to say, I'm this part of my life, it's a chapter. I closed it. Let's open new doors. Let's try new things, even if I hate them. Even if I'm like, oh, this is cringy. I don't ever want to do this again. Try it. See if I like it. Build hobbies, build habits. You
And you
know,
have quite a bit of hobbies that we admire actually that you've
I
shared
do.
that you shared with all of us, which is you're very talented, both artistically and, just listening to you play the banjo, and you have a beautiful voice, and I'm so happy that you have those outs, which is something else that we talk a lot about, did you take a mindful moment for yourself? How do you decompress? Are you tapping into the things that actually bring you joy?
Right.
I think we get so caught up in life, the busy, that we don't make time to do the things that we enjoy.
Right.
As we get older, we start to learn a little bit more about that. But I'm just super impressed with where you were like a year ago and where you are today. You're not
Right.
even the same person.
No, I'm not. I have to keep grabbing for something. If I stop grabbing for something, if I stop trying to just do something better, if I stop that, then I become stagnant. And I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. It doesn't make me feel good. And I've just really learned that, we hear people say all the time, protect your peace. Well, what does
Yeah.
that actually look like to you? Because everyone's got to do it differently. It's not the same for you as it's going to be for me. How do I protect my peace? Well, me, it's finding a good balance between isolation and socializing, right? So I get to isolate, but like I get to hop online and talk to people. I love that. I do also go out into the real world. I have real friends that I hang out with, but I don't need to be around them all the time. I don't want to be around them all the time. I like to be alone. I like to have that, but I have to know, am I being alone too much?
Yeah.
Am I staying too locked up? Because that can also be a bad thing. So finding balance in everything I do is the most important thing, not overindulging, which I love food. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is like one of my struggles. I love to eat a good snack. But I have to find balance and I'm not great at it. So that's what keeps me going, is trying to figure that out and get better.
And
And
you actually she just actually did something, which is where I wanted to take this conversation. Just this past Friday, we hosted our Veterans Live, and one of the things that Sunny brought up was journaling and how
mm,
important our stories are. And whether you're telling them on a podcast or sharing them with a friend, are you reading your own story? Because there's such power there when you can look back. I know that Sunny has found things I'm like, I wrote that like 10 years ago. Wow. Like, holy hell, and you get to see your own growth. It's not somebody else assessing, it's your personal assessment of growth and where you were, where you are, puts life into perspective. And we do have moments where we can isolate, and isolation is good for self-reflection and growth.
yeah.
But we also have moments where it's okay, sit down with yourself, write it down, even if it's not in paragraph form, just write it down and then go back and look at it, which is going back to what you were making reference to, like how are you keeping track of your journey and your personal growth? And you held up your book, which I'm assuming you journal.
Yeah, this is one of them. I have another one that I actually am this is kind of like a note taking book. I don't know. Anyways, but yes, this is one of them.
And I love that. I always say we have a story to tell. Every single one of us is on a journey on this roller coaster of life. And our
Right.
stories are going to be, and we could talk about that a little bit too, stories, how important stories are for the next person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my thing right now, is trying to figure out how to tell my story and be brave enough to tell it, and um yeah, find power in it, because sometimes when I think not everyone's story has great things in it, and it makes us feel a sense of powerlessness. I feel weak sometimes when I think about my story. Um, but I just know, like, it once I tell it, or and I do tell it. It's not here online. It's with my therapist, right? But when I tell it, I get stronger, because I'm taking power back, and I'm getting to speak, and not hold those words and those thoughts and those feelings inside. So journaling is one way to get it out. talking to a therapist is another way. And, you know, if you want to be brave enough to, you know, hop on the internet and tell your story, which I admire because people do it every day. And I'm like, wow, the strength they have to tell such personal, intimate things about their lives.
Yep.
For strangers to relate to, I think is an amazing thing, and it's a beautiful thing. And I know you've been really, you know, I know it's hard for you to be candid sometimes with us, but you have these moments where you say something and I'm like, wow, I resonate with that. Like I feel that. Like I know we haven't met each other in person, but there's things that I feel like when we meet, we're gonna talk and we're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's that's so on point. It's on brand for both of us.
And let me take us there for 1 minute.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
what I wanna say about that point is, at the end of the day, civilian, veteran, we're both human.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so many of the barriers in bridging the gap has been, they'll never understand they're a civilian. There are parts that we understand because we're human beings, and
Right.
we feel just like you. Our stories are different, but we resonate with pain. We resonate with disappointment. We resonate with every emotion. The stories are gonna be different. That's it. But too long, I believe our veteran community has self-isolated with that mentality of no one will understand. So we hang on to all of it
Mhm.
and sadly self-isolate. And
Right.
where does that lead us in the support system? Nowhere.
No.
Absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sourpuss,
Yeah.
for, it means a lot to me to hear that coming from you. There is something I wanted to ask you. Since you've gotten out of service, how many are you still connected to any anyone that you served with or any female veterans? I'm very interested in the female veterans because I haven't had one on my platform yet.
So I have a girlfriend, her name, well, I won't say her name, but anyways, I have a girlfriend that we did not serve in the same unit. We just became friends. And she was my best friend when I was stationed in Georgia. And you would love her. We're kind of opposite, right? So I'm like a little bit more, I don't want to I don't like labeling myself, but we're just different. We're different and it works well together. And I love that about us. She worked in the arms room. I can't remember exactly what her job was, but I think she was a weapons repairer. And she was a horseback rider, and we'd go riding on the weekends, and we would just spend time, go eat dinner. And I still talk to her. We communicate on Facebook a lot. And I'm hoping that I'll get to go visit her at some point. I'd really love to see her again. I definitely still talk to other veteran friends. I was in a unit that was it was male dominated. I was in the CAV, so I didn't have a ton of lady friends because of my actual unit was just, like I said, the MLSs were male dominated. So that unfortunately left me with a lot of guy friends.
And how so for those of us watching out here and curious, and you can go into as much of it as you want, how was that being pretty much the only female?
So we did have some females, but a lot of them worked in like PLL or Distra, and for their job titles, but like they were working in different places. So in the motor pool, there was some females. We had the very first female Bradley mechanic in my unit, which is pretty cool. And then we had a couple other female mechanics, but not a lot. So it was interesting. I definitely felt like I had to work 10 times harder to prove that I knew what I was doing and that I was effective at doing my job. I definitely dealt with harassment. And I don't need to get too deep into it, but I definitely dealt with harassment as part of my story. There was an assault or two. That's I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Yeah, so that's a part of my story, is that I dealt with assault when I was in the military, and I'm still dealing with that to this day. There's going to be bad people wherever you go. And I need to make that clear. There will be bad people in every walk of life. And that is just the unfortunate truth. So yeah, it was tough. And that was part of the deciding factor of why I didn't re-enlist, was because I didn't want to end up in another unit where I felt unsafe, which I did. I feel very unsafe. And my unit just had we had a lot of problems. So we had problems with people. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word on here, so I'm going to use unaliving. We had people self-unaliving frequently in my unit, which they would call a self-unaliving cluster, if you can fill in the blank with the word. They call that a blank cluster. We had, just we had some not great leadership. We had, yeah, we had some bad stuff. I could really get into it, but I don't I don't want to. But I want to at least paint a little bit of my picture for you guys so that you guys can know me a little bit better, because I feel like I've seen your faces long enough on Sunnyside that you should hear part of my story so you understand me a little bit better. And but I want to make it clear that this isn't about what happened to me, that this is just about how we get over that stuff and what we do to get better and move on from that. So
I'm super proud of you, and I'm sorry that you went through all of that, and at any time in your journey that you wanna come back and tell your story, your full story, I'm here, and I
yeah.
would listen. Um, so what would you like our viewers to take away from getting to know you a little bit, getting to know how you've had your set of challenges and you're in your healing journey?
Yeah. What I would like people to know. Um, I mean, about me personally, I don't know exactly what I want people to know, but what I want veterans to know in general, or advice or a message. Can I read from my journal one more time?
Absolutely.
So one of the things I put was, I want people to stop comparing their pain. Our pain it doesn't look the same. Our stories are not the same. Again, whether deployed, non-deployed, active duty, reservists, we all have different stories. We all have different childhoods. There's all different reasons for why we joined. And there's just no comparing. We're all so different. We are individuals. As much as we were a part of same team, same fight, like, we're just different people. And we just need to acknowledge that and support each other in our journeys. So that's the first thing. My number one piece of advice, or things that I want to say, is do the things that make you uncomfortable. Sit with yourself, get used to your own company. Ultimately, no matter how many people we have in our corner, we are the ones who have to walk our journey, and certain parts have to be done alone. The mental work, especially. I highly encourage every vet or civilian to try to find mental health support. We don't show up to a battle without armor. I said, my therapist has given me some helpful tools to walk through life, and I can't thank her enough. Just having tools in your tool bag, right? Like, I say that, but like, pretend like you have a magical, invisible tool bag. And when you're going through life, or you're in situations and you find yourself reacting in certain ways, if you got a tool to pull out in that moment to help you reassess, and to help you to respond better, or to help you address the situation better, then why not seek help to get those types of tools? You know what I mean? So whatever that looks like for you, I'm not saying therapy, because not everyone wants to go to therapy. Some people want to do other things, but whatever works for you, find tools. Reaching out for help in crisis. This is so hard for veterans. Working on discovering who you are outside of the military. I see so many veterans where it becomes their entire identity. And I understand that it probably is pretty close to being your entire identity, especially if you serve 20 plus years in the military and you're retired. I understand, but there's more than just that to you as a person, as a human being. And I encourage you to find those pieces of yourself, because I think that'll make you feel, whole in a way. I guess, for me, that's kind of what helped. And then, finding, connecting with vets, finding hobbies, connecting with civilians. I think that's super important. It's super grounding to connect with your civilians, because sometimes, and I'm going to say this, and this is going to either make you laugh or maybe offend you, but like, sometimes we sniff each other's farts. And we need to not do that. We need to go outside, touch grass, and talk to a civilian, because we're not all that in a bag of chips all the time.
I will not sniff your farts.
Right. Just the saying, don't actually do that. And then, like, learning to balance your social time and isolation, healthy balance. And this is my last thing, is not all veterans look a certain way or have the same interests. Stop putting veterans in boxes and stop politicizing us. That is like the two most important things, because when people look at me, they don't think I'm a veteran, or they want to treat me differently because I look different. And I'm here to tell you, I'm a veteran. I'm a human. I'm both in the same. And I'm not a political party. Don't put me in a box. I don't want to be in a box. Don't judge me because I don't look like you, because I have tattoos or piercings, or because my hair's short, or because I'm more of a tomboy. Don't judge me because of those things. That doesn't take away from my character, who I am, what I have to offer the world, and it doesn't take away from yours looking the way you look or having the ideas you have. So, yeah, I think that's really what I wanted to say.
Perfect. Well, a few things you touched base on: bridging the gap, guys, civilians and veterans. Wow. When Sunny first started, one of the hardest things I tasked myself with was, can I do this? Can I actually host a veterans live as a civilian, knowing nothing, pretty
Yeah.
much? And I followed my calling. I called it my calling because it just kind of was called to me to do this because I felt a huge need, which is going back to boxes. Feeling like any social media platform, yes, our veterans need our veterans, okay, but our veterans need civilians. After all, they do live within our civilian world with families, spouses, and children who are civilians. So, in order to gain some perspective and understanding, I created the Sunny Side of Freedom, which is hosted on Fridays to offer that perspective, a place where our veterans can still come together, but they're coming together with us. And it's been a blessing. It's been hard too. I'm not going to lie. It's been really hard, but it's been a blessing. And so much of what we talk about is that healing journey because we're all on one.
Right.
Whether or not you think about it when you wake up in the morning, every single person on this earth is on a healing journey of some sort. We're all healing from something.
Right.
Some of us think about it more than others, and some of us just keep it in the closet. We don't want to take out the skeletons. We don't want to address it until certain things start to come apart in our lives, and we're like, "What's that come? Where did that come from, or why is that happening?" And you start to self-discover, going back to who you are. How do you find your wholesome self? Identifying with what? Are we identifying with, in this case, our veterans? We've talked at length about how our veterans, for those that go in at a very early age, they haven't even discovered who they are, but they're given a role and they take on this role. And just like you made reference, if it's a 20-year role, that's who you are, that's who you identify as.
Yeah.
And then coming back into society to try to identify with who you are is like, you don't even know, you're no longer there.
Yeah.
And we are failing. We have failed in that department. Why I think we have so many veterans facing the challenges that they face, and why we have a suicide rate at the rate that we have it, because
Yeah.
there isn't enough support and help. I know that firsthand. I've had veterans reach out to me, whether it's in my DMs or even say it right on the lives and say, this is more therapeutic than any type of counseling that I've had, because not every experience is going to be as successful as Sourpuss's, where
No.
you match up with a therapist and they're your therapist and you're able to open up. The reality is more likely that you've probably had a few therapists and you've given up.
Mhm.
The message there, going back to what she just shared is this: never give up on yourself. Fine, give up on that therapist, but don't quit on you. You're
Yeah.
worth it. Find something else, whatever form of therapy, whether it be Reiki, whether it be yoga. Yoga, by the way, is really awesome. Yoga, hiking, walking, kayaking. Do something for you to help decompress, quiet some of the thoughts. Don't be so quick to judge. Like you made reference to that too, judging. Don't judge so quickly. In the end, we just hurt ourselves when we do that. We limit our opportunities when we judge situations, circumstances, people, events like, oh, I'm not going to that. That's going to be a waste of my time. How do you know if you've never tried? Try it out. Try it out. You're worth it. Self-discovery and self-exploration is so important in the journey of life. Um, when we talk about support, you've made reference several times to having both internal, external friendships, social media friendships.
Mhm.
Uh, and I wanted to touch base on that, as we start to head into our closing, because one of the messages that Sunny always puts out there is, it's actually right there. It's better together. We're never truly alone, but you got to reach out. There
Yeah.
is support out here. It doesn't always wear a lab coat. The support comes in many forms, and don't limit yourself by saying, I can't even reach out to a veteran because they'll never understand. And that civilian may be a very close friend of yours. Reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I'm really glad you said that. Not everyone is going to find the perfect, I didn't want to push therapy because there's more than just therapy out there. So I'm glad you brought that up because yeah, you're right. There's lots of people who try and they don't find somebody that matches them or does what they need them to do. So yeah, you just got to find something that works for you.
Well,
But
that's like finding a VA that works for you. Some of our veterans will come in and say, "Oh, I have an amazing experience at my VA," and then I have other veterans that are like, "I hate my VA."
yep,
I'm not done with them, you know?
it's not
Um,
consistent. It needs to be more consistent for us veterans, but it's hopefully we'll get there. But in the meantime, we have people like Sunny, right? We have people like 420 Chief. We've got friends out here that are willing to help. And I think that's right now, community networking, that's super important. And that's one of the most important things. And bridging the gap between civilians and veterans. We can learn a lot from people who are on the civilian side of things. you know we need to be more open-minded to listening to people that didn't serve because maybe they have tools that we just don't have. Maybe they look at life differently.
yeah.
And that,
It's
yeah.
chaotic for us too, by the way. I know that a lot of our veterans say, when they got out of service and they came into the civilian life, it's like, holy hell, nothing's structured, everything's chaotic. Well, guys, we live it. I live it every day. It's super chaotic. And I too have anxiety from it. I too feel all those things at a different capacity, obviously, because, when you've served, as most of our veterans have expressed, it's a very structured, disciplined way
Mhm.
of thinking and behaving and engaging with others, whereas we're just all over the place all the time. But lean into any kind of support. I'm super happy that you joined us today because,
Um,
like I said, you are my first female veteran, and my hope is to get more of our female veterans. That's still part of that bridging that gap that Sunny's still trying to bring together. Thus far, a lot of our female veterans stay very silent. They don't talk about their service too often. And there's reasons for that. And if you're a civilian out there, I want you to start asking yourself questions. Why is that? Why do our female veterans not feel seen? They signed on the dotted line, right? They served. What is going on? Let's start asking more questions. Let's start wanting answers and gaining perspective. And the only way to do that is to start listening to their stories.
right.
Um, I appreciate you greatly. And I can't wait to have you at one of our Sunnyside of Freedom meetups.
Me too. I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet everyone.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, if you're wondering what that is, Sunnyside also hosts veteran meetups. Uniting veterans across the nation is my mission. Please feel free to visit my website, sunnysideoffreedom.net. Get familiarized and go over to the gallery because there's lots of pictures there. Thus far, we've successfully hosted 3 meetups within a year's time frame. Super exciting, super meaningful relationships have been formed. And I'd like to kind of close us out in talking about the significance of never feeling alone and feeling supported and what that looks like. And the reason why these meetups are so important. Um, at these meetups, granted, we've spent lots of time online, like you've spent enough time within our veterans' lives, and then it just brings it home when we can actually meet in person and spend a few days together. But these relationships don't end because the event does. These relationships stay in place. Once again, bringing true significance to never alone. You're really never alone. It's being able to have that line and being able to call somebody outside of maybe your personal relationships that you don't feel like you can pick up the phone and call. 22 a day is something that Sunny brings awareness to every single day on her TikTok platform. I plank it out. I plank it out for a minute with everyone, always trying to incorporate some kind of message for the day, reinforcing taking a mindful moment. Don't forget to breathe. You matter. You're enough, and you can reach out for support, whether it's crisis 988 or friendly contacts, whether they're made on a social media platform, which seems to be the way of the future right now. Seems like most of us are connecting from online friendships and have this amazing relationship with one another. And I want to bounce it to you. Go ahead.
I just had one question. So I know that there was a creator on the TikTok app who invented an app for veterans in crisis. I think, is that still going on?
Ah, now I'm trying to remember what it's called, but
Hold on.
something Zero, Operation Zero is something,
Yeah.
it's an
That's
application that you download to your phone, and with this application, it allows you to reach anyone at any given time. What's it called?
It's called Objective Zero, and it actually is really cool because it connects you. It's got a daily journal in there too. So if anyone's looking for like a check-in journal, they've got wellness checks, calling features. So it checks on you like frequently and asks you how you're doing and stuff. So
And thank you for bringing that up because he
yeah,
is somebody, who had initially reached out, and I think it's Justin, I could be wrong, but, somebody I would love to have on the podcast to actually talk about that because that is a means and a way to contact somebody when you're feeling like you need to talk to somebody, and
yeah, and I
there's so
think
much
for
more
other
involved.
veterans too, right? On Objective
Absolutely.
Zero.
Yep.
Yeah.
Connecting with other veterans and not feeling alone. Well, I thank you so much. I mean, do you have any closing thoughts before we part?
I think I got out most of really what I wanted to say, and maybe one day we could get deeper into things. I didn't want to make that be I don't want that to be my identity, and I don't want, like I said before we went live, my biggest thing is making sure that people understand that you can get past being a victim of things. And I didn't want that to be the message today, was that just a victim, that I'm a survivor, and this is, we can do things to get past those hard things that we experience in life. And especially if you're a female veteran watching, you can get past some things, with real work and healing. And if you ever need to talk, please reach out. Like, I'm here just to listen to you. I may not have all the words, but I'll listen. So
I don't know if that's my dog or yours.
that's
Probably.
not my dog. I don't have a dog. I have 2 cats.
I'm like, is that my
What,
dog
do
or
I
yours?
have a dog?
That's my cue. I think my daughter's getting home, so there's that. A little 10-pound, bitch shoe. So thank you once again, Sourpuss, for being here. I appreciate you. I
Yeah.
have love in my heart for you. You're
Yes.
amazing. I'm super, super proud of you, and I'm so grateful that you found us again when you needed us. And I was just happy to be a part of that night and also part of your journey, your healing
Yes.
journey.
Thank you very much for just being there for me. I really and thank you for just calling me or texting me randomly. I really appreciate that too. I know it, like, we have busy lives and stuff, but I appreciate when you do, or when you're like, "Hey sis, you got a minute to just talk on the phone?" I'm like, "Heck yeah. I'd like to get on the phone with you. We have good conversation."
And if you wanna see more of her talents, she has an amazing voice, that's what I'll tell all of you. Sometimes she graces us with that voice on the Sunny Side of Freedom, a Veterans Live, which is hosted on Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on TikTok. Incredible voice, but she also plays instruments, and, I love that you do all of that. Never
Thanks.
alone, sis. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. To our viewers, thank you for being here. Lead in love, lead the way, be the change, be everything that you wanna see different in our world. Be a voice, be an advocate. Don't remain silent. Speak up. Stand by your veterans. Stand by everyone and anyone. It's a world filled with chaos, but we can make it a better place. Honest to God, we truly are, as I say, hashtag better together when we come together. Stay sunny, stay spicy, always make it count. Much love to all of you. Much love to you, sis. I appreciate you being here today. And if you guys want to see more, please visit my website, sunnysideoffreedom.net. Visit me on TikTok. I do host 3 lives a week. Much love to all of you. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you again. Bye bye.